demonstrated different scenarios. And on cross-examination, David got up there and he basically said, this is the attorney for the defense, he basically said, look, could there not have been other scenarios? Could not that shot have come from outside of the car? And the sergeant continued to say, no, it had to be from inside that car. And he said that the other scenarios were not supported because of the blood spatter and also because of the trajectory of the bullets. He kept saying it could not be from the outside. And I think what defense was trying to do there is to say, but you didn't consider that that is a possibility because you're saying that it couldn't have happened. And he actually got up there and demonstrated why couldn't it have been like this from outside of the car. And they showed that jury the 4 chairs as if the people were actually sitting in those chairs so they could understand where the bullets were coming from. So, yes, he did say it had to be in the back seat. He did say it had to be on the left side. And in fact, he even said once it could have been Henry based on the height of all of the individuals involved.
And we know that Henry, I believe, was driving the car, so that becomes an interesting question. Now, the cross-examination, you mentioned it a little bit, the points that the defense was trying to make. Walk me through what were some of the points you think they made. And also, I believe it's going to go into cross-examination today. Where do you think they're going to go more with cross-examining this reconstruction expert?
Well, they just began the cross-examination, so I think they're going to try to hit home that these other possible reconstructions could have been a reality and it didn't have to be from inside the car. I think he's also going to try to establish that we don't know it was Melly. It could have been anybody. We know he got in the car because of that video from the studio of him getting in the car, but we don't know what happened after that. So 2 things, Jesse. One, we don't know exactly who it was sitting back there, and we don't know if, in fact, it was someone who was sitting back there. So the possibilities are endless. And I think what we're going to try to establish on the defense side is that's exactly right. He has not proven, the prosecution, she hasn't proven beyond a reasonable doubt that it was Melly in that car, that he was holding the gun, and that it was he who shot the 2 victims.
Can I tell you, I'm a little surprised at the prosecution because didn't we hear yesterday that they have more of a case to present? My understanding was the defense wanted to put on their case and the prosecution was like, no, we got more witnesses. What can you tell us about that?
Well, there was a little, acrimony between the 2 sides about a notice of a deposition. There's one witness, Trevion Glass. He was in, remember, there were 2 cars in the studio parking lot when they were leaving. And there's this red Mitsubishi. And apparently Trevion Glass was in one of those cars. He was in the second car. And he has been noticed for a deposition. And the prosecution was basically saying, this is a last minute notice, but the defense literally just received the address and there was some, scheduling issues as far as whether or not he would be deposed and whether or not he would actually respond to the subpoena. So that's one of the witnesses that the prosecution is saying they want to call. I don't know if that person is going to show up, and if not, we won't see him. But basically, the prosecution is saying, look, we do have a little more before we actually rest.
Yeah, do you have any idea about who else the prosecution might call, or even how long it's going to go for?
Yeah, the prosecution actually said they had one other witness. It was unclear who that witness was. So the expectation that I'm hearing so far is just 2 individuals, Trevion Glass and this other individual. After that, I believe that will be the end of the case because they haven't mentioned anyone else. As I said, they already had all of the medical examiners. They've got this crime scene reconstructionist. I think that was probably one of their most important witnesses. He's tying everything all together. One thing I noticed, Jesse, is that we do a poll on the YouTube, and so far it has been up in the 70s as far as not guilty. It went down a little bit yesterday and the day before, and I think it was because of the medical examiner and also because this reconstructionist sort of tied in together what the medical evidence showed.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is testimony that we have been waiting for to establish the shooting came from inside the vehicle and possibly where the defendant was sitting. Do we have any idea about the defense's case? They seemed ready, primed to go. Do we know which direction they're going to go in?
I'm positive they're going to have a crime scene reconstructionist who's going to say that it is absolutely possible to have someone outside of that car shooting, and that you cannot definitely tell, that the other bullets were bullets that were received after the individual died. So they might have a medical expert on as well to sort of refute the two main pieces of the prosecution's testimony that's gone in so far, that medical exam and that reconstructionist. They have to address those issues, in my opinion. If I were defending this case, those are the two areas that I want to focus on. And Jesse, they may also have individuals who were in that other car. I don't know at this point if they're going to call them.
Yep.
So, that remains to be seen.
And let me ask you about the defendant. We're showing right now B-roll video of him in court. How did he behave yesterday in court? Because as we always say, he was quite animated the first few days, yawning, smiling, laughing, blowing kisses, anything like that?
He has been very serious, Jesse, as this trial winds down, as the prosecution's case begins to get to an end here. I think maybe he's heard what people were saying online as far as him being so animated, but I think for the last week or two he has been extremely serious, focusing, looking at the monitor so he can see what the exhibits are showing, looking at the witness, focusing very much on what's going on in that trial. And he looks also out to the audience to see his family. He smiles when they come in, and I think that gives him some comfort. Yesterday, his mother was there as always, and his grandmother was there. We also saw his younger brother come in, and they have a very close relationship, and I definitely think that makes him feel a bit more comforted.
Anybody else in the courtroom there? Maybe the supporters of the victims, the family members of the victims at all?
The courtroom is separated in two areas. The area on the left side is for the defense. The area on the right side is for the victim's family. They have come in and out, but the presence has not been sustained. I think there have been times there have been more. I believe the mothers of the victims have been in there. They don't stay for the duration. I know for a fact when they put up those photos from the medical examiner's office, they had a hard time and went and stepped out. So it's not as full on the other side. I'm sure it's a very difficult case for them, and perhaps that's the reason that they haven't been coming all day, every day.
Understandable. Terry Austin, thank you. Great reporting. I know you have to head back into that courtroom, and we'll make sure to check back with you later. Thanks, Terry.
Thanks, Jesse.
All right, everybody. For now, we're going to take a quick break here at the network, and when we come back, we're going to see if we can go live. In the meantime, we want to show you a special report from Sierra Gillespie.